research this project?
I think mainly it's because we've studied it in school, but not much in detail, and it's such an important part of the history of the British Empire, but it's quite glossed over and it's not really elaborated on.
Yeah, one thing which we found out was that when we went to the British Museum to do a bit of pre-research for the topic, we didn't actually find anything on slavery at all, and I think that gave us an impetus to sort of go on and look at it further.
Yeah, because we felt like we'd all learned about it a bit in school, but it was mainly kind of the impact of slaves in the Caribbean or in America and how that kind of affected the civil rights movement. We hadn't done it specifically in London, which is the area that kind of affects us.
I guess so from my perspective as well, the focus on, well, there's got focus on Bloomsbury and Hackney in the question, but for me personally, I currently live and work in Bloomsbury. I've just moved down here. It's interesting to try and relate to the history that's all around you. So, for example, place names such as Tavistock or Great Portland Street have cropped up when we're doing research, and that kind of thing. It just really interests me as a historian. You want to try and be able to relate to history as much as possible, and I felt that doing the project really gave me an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I've worked in Hackney. I've grown up around that area, and it's a borough that's changed a lot in the last 100 years. And seeing how the legacy of kind of slave ownership has changed the area has been really interesting.
I also found it really interesting that UCL had such a focus on Black History Month, which was in October. So it was kind of at the very forefront of our minds when we were deciding which topic to pick. UCL hosted so many events for Black History Month, so we kind of found out about those, and it kind of started our research on our project. So it's really helpful.
What are the main legacies of slavery in London?
Well, we've come across a number of legacies in our research, and we can start with the economic.
Okay, so we found it really interesting how big financial companies in London, which are now kind of worldwide, such as PricewaterhouseCoopers, Lloyds and Deloitte, were all founded and funded partly by money taken from slavery and the plantations.
And also, if you're looking at the mainstays, I guess, of finance institution being the Bank of England, there are a large number of a number of governors who derived their money from slavery. For example, in the Manning family, the Anderton family, they had a profound influence on the economic foundations of Britain, but London was based in London. Also, if you look at the general patterns of increase in wealth within London, so if you look at the Docklands as an example of that, the slave owners, they had a vested interest actually in the growth of the Docklands that would increase their own trade and increase their own money, but they invested heavily, particularly at the turn of the 19th century, into the development of the Docklands. And that had a sort of a cycle of prosperity for the rest of London on top of that. So you get, for example, you get the builders who would go in and actually do the work and so on. So it would be a general sort of cycle of prosperity that came from slavery and slave money.
Yeah, socially, we find that slave ownership has a large impact on wealth and people moving up and down through classes. Although it would be true to say that people in upper class society don't change that much as a result of it, we do see people moving up and down, lower down upper class chain. And what we found quite interesting is that in Bloomsbury and Hackney, there's an evidence, or there is evidence, of this in particular. So in Bloomsbury, it grows consistently throughout this period which we look at. And in Hackney, there's a large black community as a result of slave ownership. And looking forward onto that, you find that the black community grows in London, and also some of those people within that become quite popular characters and local figures in London. So it's quite interesting.
There's also an important legacy in culture with things like sugar and rum, which kind of found the basis of the plantations in Jamaica. So a lot of the legacies of kind of show the importance of sugar in Britain. For example, in coffee and tea, it's very popular in England, obviously today. And also kind of the legacy of civil rights and equality between black and white people, which was kind of the basis of the abolition movement and social sector society.
Yeah, and adding on to that, I think that can be seen in the political legacy with the wealth that accumulated because of compensation and slave ownership and neglect. William Gladstone is the son of a slave owner. David Cameron is descendant from slave owners. And the link between economic gain and political acumen has not been fully established, I think, but we can assume that the economic gain led to more political power. but in most cases that has not been fully realised because it was the land elite, not the merchants, that made it into commons. And this balance was readdressed in the 19th century. I'd say money was part of that, but not a significant influence.
So I think on balance we all agreed that the economic legacies were the most significant. The compensation received was vast, and we can see this fed into the British economy and also funded many of the cultural institutions around us today.